What's up, guys? Gonna do a little install today on my SD9VE from Smith & Wesson. Lots of controversy on this gun. A lot of people aren't too fond of this gun. If you don't know, SD9VE, VE stands for Value Edition. Yeah, this is a pretty, this is Smith & Wesson's attempt at a knockoff of a Glock, in my opinion. I own a Glock myself. I love Glocks. I love SIGs, I love HKs, I love it all. This I bought just as a toy. I do, however, use this for work purposes at times. It's an awesome gun. This is the weakest point of this gun, is this stupid trigger that Smith & Wesson put on this gun. It's just terrible. For the price, you can't complain. These guns go for about $350, depending on what state you're in. I think I got this for under $400 here in Nevada, brand new. Yeah, that's basically it. Polished the barrel. Got the slide vented, J&L machining. These guys out in Idaho, they do awesome work. Check them out on Instagram. But yeah, let's get to it. So got this polymer enhanced trigger kit and SD spring kit. Generally the SD series 940, doesn't matter what caliber, it has about an 8-pound trigger. Very heavy. From people that I've talked to and other videos I've seen test, this is supposed to bring it down to about right under 5. So it's a big difference. You can't go wrong. This is these two kits together run you about $75. And like I said, it's a cheap, well, affordable, I should say, firearm. So you can't go wrong. But yeah, so I don't have my punch block, so I'm gonna have to use this. You're gonna need a punch. The trigger kit comes with a little punch pin to keep it in place once you remove the trigger. Got another one in here for the spring. Comes with a plunger spring for the striker, and the extractor spring as well. Make sure this is, yeah. So basically you're going to punch out this. You're going to punch this out right here. And you're going to keep this in place of this pin while you remove this trigger mechanism. Lots of people talking about polishing this. Let me see if I can get it to focus. There we go. Polishing this contact right here. You SD owners will know what I'm talking about when you pull this trigger right here. That coarse rubbing feeling you get right there. Polishing this area right here will get rid of that. So with that being said, I'll probably polish mines. Yeah, here we go. So you're gonna punch out this pin right here that holds the sear housing block in place. Once you get that pin out, you're gonna pop this little lever up and it should pop out. As you can see, I got the pin almost out. Just wanted to show you guys. Once you get that out, you're gonna use this little punch pin that Apex Tactical gave along in the trigger kit. You're gonna punch out the trigger pivot pin right here, right below the slide release. And it's very, very important that you punch it out from right to left. There is a groove here that holds the spring in place on the trigger pivot pin, and you will damage the pin if you do otherwise. So remember, right to left. If you're holding the gun barrel up or barrel away from you, you're going to punch it from your right side to your left, and then when you install it, it's going to be the opposite, from your left to right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. Don't mind my little punch station right here. I didn't get my punch block in yet. Okay, so once you punch out the trigger pivoting spring, if I can get it out of this magnet. See how there's grooves on it? I don't know if we can focus, but yeah, so you're gonna punch it from right to left. Once you get that out, you're gonna go ahead and pull this off. Pull this pin out carefully, and this whole piece should pop right off. There we go. Once that's done, the trigger mechanism should pop right out. There we go. So once you get the trigger on, you're going to go ahead and use this spring, this return spring that they provided in the kit. You can see the new one versus the old one here. It's a really big difference. It's very important that when installing this spring, that this opening right here, when you hook it, it's down. Because what you're going to do is you're going to hook it down, and you're going to flip the spring upside down so the opening is up. That way you don't run into any problems with these return spring popping off while you're firing. So let me see if I can get this to focus well. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab the spring opening, hook it on like so, and flip it around. So it should look something like that. So once you get the return spring on the new trigger in, you're going to go ahead and drop the trigger in. You're going to put the locking block in place, and you need to line up the holes for this pin right here. You're going to, I can't really get it on camera, but you're going to slide it into place, getting the trigger, the locking block, the trigger, and the return spring all in one shot. There we go. So you should have some tension on this piece right here. From here, you're going to go ahead and back out this pin just a little. Just enough to get the slide lock release in. Slide this in here. And kind of wiggle this in here. There we go. So once you got everything in, you should have tension on the trigger here, and you should also have tension on the slide lock release here. Should be holding it down. So what you're going to do from here is you're going to take this, you're going to take this pin right here. I can't get my camera to focus. And you're going to make sure these grooves right here are going to go in from left to right. These grooves need to be on the left hand side of the gun. So you're going to slide it in here. Slide everything in while you pull out the apex pin that they supplied. So with everything in place, new trigger, housing block, slide lock release. I'm going to go ahead and slide this sear housing block back in. So this little pin or nub or whatever you want to call it right here is going to sit right in this groove right here. I don't know if you can see that. So basically, you're going to slide it over and under, pushing it back in place very gently. There you go. Once you get that back in place, you're going to punch the pin back in that holds the sear housing block in with your punch. Once you get the pin back in that holds the sear housing block in, trigger in, everything in, slide lock release, housing plate, and trigger looks good already compared to this piece of shit. Test it out, make sure everything's working well. So a lot of times people make this mistake of not hooking this little nub that's on the sear housing block into this groove that we polished. By the way, yeah, I did polish it to make it a little smoother. Not for visual purposes, it actually helps out with the trigger pull. There's lots of videos on YouTube for you SD owners. So it should, when you pull the trigger and it resets, it should fall back into the groove. There you go. If it doesn't do this, then you've done something wrong. You need to go back and take it out. Wow, the reset's pretty nice now. Look at that. See, focus. There you go. Oh, nice. One more time. Nice. All right. So, put that aside. So, moving along to the slide. I'm going to go ahead and install the springs that came with the spring kit for the slide. Go ahead and remove this guide rod. This guide rod is actually plastic with a 16-pound return spring from the factory. This is another area that Smith & Wesson really fucking cheaped out on. It's terrible. But getting back to the name, SD9VE Value Edition, you get what you pay for. So besides the obvious springs in the gun, trigger, and the guide rod, it's an awesome gun. So I do not have a new guide rod yet. However, there is one from a company called Galloway Precision. It's a stainless steel guide rod with a 19-pound return spring, and yeah, it's really awesome from what I hear. I haven't heard nothing but good things about it. You can get it for about $30. So moving back to the spring kit and the trigger kit, $75 for both, $30 for the Galloway Precision guide rod. So set that aside, move the barrel. Now you're gonna have to punch out this pin right here. That's, well, the extractor pin, I should say, that's holding in the extractor plate right here. So you're gonna want to apply pressure to this because it is under load while you punch out this extractor pin. Once you got everything removed, right in here where the striker is, there is a little white plastic piece. You're going to push this down. There's a lot of tension on it, so be careful. You're going to push it down. While you're pushing it down, you're going to slide this plate off Be very careful because there's a lot of tension, like I said. Remove the slide plate. Remove the striker carefully. Once you remove the striker, the plunger right here should come out fairly easy. It should. There you go. And be very, very careful not to lose this plunger spring right here. Okay. Once you got that out, see, this is the on the left here, this is the new plunger spring, but we'll get to that in a second. Once you got everything out, go ahead and clean this really quick. So this is the factory. Jesus, can't got my tongue. This is the factory striker spring. So what you're going to do is there is spring cups right here. These two plastic pieces. You need to be very careful not to lose these pieces as well. You're going to push the spring down and these spring cups are going to pop off. They're two pieces. The easiest method is facing down. You're going to put the striker back in its place upside down. You're going to pull downward to put tension on the spring. There we go. You can see, so you're going to pull down with your hand on the spring and you're going to pop off these little spring cups. Be very, very, very careful because I can't imagine you having to buy these. And I think they actually sell aftermarket spring cups as well. I know they do for the Glocks. I believe they sell marine ones. I don't know if they sell them for this SD series. So go ahead and take off that spring. Grab the new spring, Apex spring. You can tell, well, the factory spring kind of has a green paint coating on it, so you shouldn't be able to get it mixed up. Go ahead and put that spring back onto the striker. Same thing, you're going to push it down and carefully put the, oh shit, see? I said to be careful and I just dropped it. You're going to carefully put back these spring cups. So once you got the new striker spring installed with the cups, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and take the plunger and replace the plunger spring with the spring that was given in the spring kit. Let's see if I can get a comparison shot. So you got the factory plunger spring on the left and the Apex Tactical plunger spring on the right. The plunger spring isn't going to sit in the plunger, well, I should say the new plunger spring isn't going to sit in the plunger how the factory one did, so you just need to be careful. It is a lot stiffer, so there will be more tension. You can just go ahead and place it in here like so. To place the plunger carefully. Place it in carefully in here. You're going to take the striker, put the striker back in. So you're going to apply pressure on the plunger while you put the striker back down, and it should lock in place. So you're going to push this plastic piece down on the striker. What I like to do is I like to grab a flathead and push it down like so while I slide this slide plate on at the same time. Just be very careful. Put the extractor spring back in place, like, oh, no, getting blurry. You're going to put the extractor spring back in place like that. I'm going to grab the extractor plate. It swings underneath here and then pushes down like so. There we go. All right. I'm going to take the extractor pin. While you're applying pressure to the plate, you're going to slide the pin back in. There we go. And you're going to apply pressure once again while you're hammering the pin in. Alright, so that's that, and got the springs back in place. Everything's done in the slide. I'm going to go ahead and put this barrel back in. Wipe this down real quick. I'm going to polish this barrel by hand. Do this on the side. Anybody in Nevada, Las Vegas interested in this type of work? Too lazy, don't know how whatsoever, let me know. I do polish these barrels on the side. There we go. So anyway, slide the barrel back in. There we go. Put the guide rod back in. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, slide the slide back on, like so. And moment of truth. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this back. Wow, that's amazing. The reset is just crazy. That's crazy. Reset. That's amazing. It's much shorter. Much shorter. I wish I did a before and after video. I'm not about to take the damn spring trigger back out again. Awesome. Reset. There you go. Alright, so that's that. Once again, Apex Tactical, really awesome products. SD spring kit and the polymer action enhancement trigger kit. One other product that I recommend, like I said earlier, is a Galloway Precision. They make a stainless steel guide rod with a 19-pound trigger in it versus the plastic with the 16-pound trigger. You guys got any questions? Feel free to comment below. Please subscribe. I know I don't post many videos, but I will in the future as I acquire more firearms and do more things. Thanks.